The Dragon and His Grandmother.
There was once a great war, and the king had a great many soldiers. But he gave them so little pay that they could not live upon it. Then 3 of them decided to run away from the army. One of them said to the others, "If we are caught, we shall be hanged on the gallows." The other said, "Do you see that large cornfield there? If we were to hide ourselves in that, no one can find us. The army cannot come into it. And tomorrow it is to march on." They crept into the corn. But the army did not march on, but remained encamped close around them. They sat for 2 days and 2 nights in the corn, and grew so hungry they nearly died. But if they were to venture out, it was certain death. They said at last, "What use was it deserting from the army? We must die here miserably." Whilst they were speaking, a fiery dragon came flying through the air. It hovered near them and asked why they were hidden there. They answered, "We are 3 soldiers and have deserted because our pay was so small. Now if we remain here we shall die of hunger, and if we move out we shall be strung upon the gallows." "If you will serve me for 7 years," said the dragon, "I will lead you through the midst of the army so that no one can catch you." "We have no choice and must take your offer," said they. Then the dragon seized them in his claws, took them through the air over the army, and set them down on the earth a long way from it. He gave them a little whip, saying, "Whip and slash with this, and as much money as you want will jump up before you. You can then live as great lords, keep horses, and drive about in carriages. But after 7 years, you are mine." Then he put a book before them, which he made all 3 of them sign. "I will then give you 3 riddles," he said. "If you guess them, you shall be free and out of my power." The dragon then flew away, and they journeyed on with their little whip. They had as much money as they wanted, wore grand clothes, and made their way in the world. Wherever they went, they lived in merrymaking and splendour, drove about with horses and carriages, ate and drank, but did nothing wrong. The time passed quickly away, and when the 7 years were nearly ended, 2 of them grew terribly anxious and frightened. But the third made light of it, saying, "Don't be afraid, brothers. I wasn't born yesterday. I will guess the riddles." They went into a field, sat down, and the 2 pulled long faces. An old woman passed by and asked them why they were so sad. "Alas, what have you to do with it? You cannot help us." "Who knows?" she answered. Then they told her that they had become the servants of the dragon for 7 long years, and how he had given them money as plentiful as blackberries, but as they had signed their names they were his, unless when the 7 years had passed they could guess a riddle. The old woman said, "If you would help yourselves, one of you must go into the wood, and there he will come upon a tumble-down building of rocks, which looks like a little house. He must go in, and there he will find help." The 2 melancholy ones thought, "That won't save us," and they remained where they were. But the third and merry one jumped up and went into the wood until he found the rock hut. In the hut sat a very old woman, who was the dragon's grandmother. She asked him how he came, and what was his business there. He told her all that had happened, and because she was pleased with him, she took compassion on him and said that she would help him. She lifted up a large stone which lay over the cellar, saying, "Hide yourself in there. You can hear all that is spoken in the room. Only sit still and don't stir. When the dragon comes in, I will ask what the riddle is, for he tells me everything. Then listen carefully for what he answers." At midnight the dragon flew in and asked for his supper. His grandmother laid the table and brought out food and drink till he was satisfied, and they ate and drank together. Then in the course of the conversation she asked him what he had done in the day and how many souls he had conquered. "I haven't had much luck today," he said, "but I have a tight hold on 3 soldiers. Indeed, 3 soldiers, said she, who cannot escape you. They are mine, answered the dragon scornfully, for I shall only give them 3 riddles which they will never be able to guess. What sort of riddles are they? She asked. The first is like this, said the dragon. What goes on 4 legs in the morning, on 2 legs at noon, and on 3 legs in the evening? The old lady looked quite baffled and said, Tell me, my fiery grandchild, what does go on 4 legs in the morning, on 2 legs at noon, and on 3 legs in the evening? Why, laughed the dragon, a person does. He crawls on all 4 as a baby, walks on 2 legs as an adult, and walks with 2 legs and a stick in old age. And the old lady exclaimed, No one else has riddles as cunning as yours. They are unlikely to guess the answer to that one for sure. But if they do, what is your second riddle? And the dragon replied that his second riddle was just as devious and even prettier, for it was in the form of a rhyme that went like this. Though of great age, I'm kept in a cage, having a long tail and 1 ear. My mouth, it is round, and when joys do abound, oh, then I sing wonderful clear. What am I? Can you tell the answer? Why, I'm a bell, of course. Ding dong. The old lady shook her head in wonderment at her grandson's ingenuity. Oh, you are quite the most cunning dragon who ever lived and breathed fire, she exclaimed. And what do you have for your final and most difficult riddle? Oh, just some simple arithmetic, said the dragon. As I was going to St. Ives, I met a man with 7 wives. Every wife had 7 sacks. Every sack had 7 cats. Every cat had 7 kits. Kits, cats, sacks, and wives. How many were going to St. Ives? And as the old lady could not answer, he said, Only 1. was going to St. Ives. All the others were going the other way. The souls of the 3 soldiers are mine for sure. And then the dragon ate his supper of hot coals and soup made from boiling oil and went to bed. When the dragon was soundly asleep, his old grandmother pulled up the stone and let out the soldier. "Did you pay attention to everything?" "Yes," he replied. "I know enough and can help myself splendidly." Then he went by another way through the window secretly, and in all haste back to his comrades. He told them how the dragon had been outwitted by his grandmother, and how he had heard from his own lips the answer to the riddles. They were all delighted and in high spirits, took out their whip and cracked so much money that it came jumping up from the ground. When the 7 years had quite gone, the fiendish dragon came to the soldier with his book, and pointing at the signatures said, "And now you must answer my riddles, or your soul shall be mine for all eternity. What goes on 4 legs in the morning, on 2 legs at noon, and on 3 legs in the evening?" And the first soldier replied, "A person." The dragon was much annoyed, and hummed and hawed a great deal, and asked the next riddle. "Though of great age, I'm kept in a cage. Having a long tail and 1 ear, my mouth it is round, and when joys do abound, oh, then I sing wonderfully clear. What am I?" "A bell," said the second soldier. The dragon made a face and growled again 3 times, "Hmm, hmm, hmm," and said to the third, "As I was going to St. Ives, I met a man with 7 wives. Every wife had 7 sacks. Every sack had 7 cats. Every cat had 7 kits. Kits, cats, sacks, and wives. How many were going to St. Ives?" "Only 1," replied the third soldier. And the dragon flew away with a loud shriek, and had no more power over them. But the 3 soldiers took the little whip, whipped as much money as they wanted, and lived happily to the end of their lives.